Hidden ball trick. We've probably ran that 9 times or 10 times in the last 10 years. And Coach Smith brought that. I can take 0 credit for that. That's all him. We ran it in Georgia 4 years to go to Texas. And it worked perfectly the same situation. And I actually had the same shirt on, Super Regional at our place, I did the year we were in Georgia. I remember walking down to Coach Smith and saying, hey, let's go run it. And he said, are you sure? I said, yeah, if it doesn't work, we're like idiots, but if it does work, we're going back to Texas. And it worked last time, it's gonna work again. So he went out, Coach Smith fashion, nonchalantly, about 4 minutes out to the mound just to get there.
I've already been out there once or twice during that game, so there's really no difference. They had runner in scoring position, so I went out just to calm it down a little bit.
So Coach Smith came out to the mound and he talked to me and talked me down, and he said, okay, we're gonna do bummer. And I said, okay, we've practiced this 1,000 times, it's just like practice.
The call came from the circle, it came from Kate, and she just kind of made the signal to us, like, hey, it's happening. So then we had to go around and make sure, like, tell everyone else, hey, it's gonna happen.
And then Kate just kind of turned around, and me and Claire looked at each other and we're like, are we doing this? And we're like, yeah. So like we turn around and we're like, Kayla, like, yeah, we're doing this. We're all just sitting there and then like, are we really actually gonna do this, Is this actually happening? Because we only like practice, once. Everybody's like, oh, you guys must have practiced that so many times. I'm like, no, we do it once, like on our freshman.
And last year we actually forgot to even go over it. So the weekend, Super Regional, he's like, hey, we should probably go over that. So we walked through it in the grass really quick, barely even touched on it. In case we need this, here's the verbal cue, be ready.
And they just had put in a pinch runner, so it's like a perfect opportunity for what we wanted to do.
Pinch runner for the Knights, it's the sophomore Rachel Milston.
Why is the pinch runner for?
Usually they don't get in the game very often. So they're already nervous. This is my one time of the game. I get maybe in every other game or something, and they're nervous. They want to get that lead. They're not really sure. They're not familiar running bases really. They're just faster than the person they're replacing.
Both teams up off their benches in the dugout. On the fence, taking everything in. Soppy armed with 2 outs, but runners on base at first and second.
I pitched the ball on the outside of the plate.
Kate pitched the ball and got it back.
I threw the ball back to Kate.
And I faked throwing it to second.
Kate did her little fake throw to second, and it was just like we had to be like perfect timing. Like we've never actually done it that well in practice.
And then from there, it's all about selling it. Kenna and I diving into second, we have to make sure we time it well enough that we're not diving at the same time, it's a little staggered, and that we're diving in relatively the same spot.
When you have to sell that thing, the pitcher's a big part of it. The middle infielders are a big part of it, but the people who really sell it are the outfielders.
Do I dive? Am I gonna dive? I never dive in practice. So then I was like, nah, I'm not gonna dive. And then literally right after it happened, I was like, okay, I'm gonna dive. So the first time ever I dove.
My part in the hidden ball trick is to back up Kayla as if there was a ball thrown and she missed it.
So I've got Kayla, my junior, in center field, and I'm like, all right, I know she's gonna turn and bolt. This is gonna happen. But I have no idea what I'm gonna get out of the freshman on either side of her because it's a high pressure situation. They've never had to lean into something like that and just act. So thankfully, Kayla sold it just as well as she always does. Takes a dive and then takes off. And then Taylor bolts down after her.
I was kind of keeping my eye on the runner the whole entire time, and I saw her kind of like look at Kayla, then look at me, and then she just kind of went into a frantic and like took off running to third, and I knew that we had it in that moment.
And you can see the batter kind of look up and see the running happen. But what really sells it is you see Lexi Clark, and I am genuinely convinced that Lexi had no idea what was going on, except that she really thought there was an overthrow. And she knew her job, and that kid does her job well. She knows her role, she knows her responsibility, and she fulfilled that role, and she bolted to back up third because she knew if that overthrow was going past Kayla, that's where the throw was going. And you see Lexi just full on belt. And that's what gets that coach, because the coach kind of looks up, see Lexi coming over, and then that's the point where the runner takes off, and you're like, yep, there it is. But yeah, I'm convinced that Lexi had no idea.
And then I knew she had it in her hand, and I kind of just start like jumping out there because I know it's gonna happen and the girl's gonna go.
The girl took off from second, and I pretended like the ball had gotten through.
The girl on first base is yelling, no, 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 and the girl still ends up going, so it's just perfect.
And I kind of jumped my way over to third base, and I was able to tag the girl, and we all got to celebrate.
So where I am at third, I'm involved with the play, but I also get a whole view of the field when it's happening. There was all this yelling, and it was so cool from my perspective because it's
it's like a movie. Everyone's working in sync. It just gives you chills. Like it's exciting to perform, and then when it actually happened and it sent us to the national championship, it was just it was just so much excitement and yelling and screaming and hugging. It was just, I think we all were on cloud 9.
And then after the game, my mom was like, I can't believe, I really thought you missed the ball. I was like, okay, I would not miss the ball, you know?
You know, everyone asks what sells it the best. And yes, I think the shortstop's important, middle, second base is important, outfield's important. But the best part for us was that none of the parents had ever seen that. It had been that long, and that, you know, so they jump up, they scream, they sell it, and they all thought, oh my gosh, they're gonna tie the game up, we're gonna, you know, what did they just do? And the next thing you know, the game's over. And it was so executed so well that I believe the cameraman or dugout didn't even catch it. And I remember him tapping me on the shoulder, why didn't you tell me that was coming? I didn't want to give it away. You know, it could be bad luck, so you know, we just went with it, and luckily they ran it well. And for Kate to pull it off, who has the worst poker face in the world, you know, it was pretty amazing to be the final out. The only bad thing about it, you always hear that won the game. You know, we played really well that whole weekend. That was just one out of all the outs we needed to advance. But it was very exciting out. And Jess Carroll, thank you for you, because it'll never work again.
It's amazing how we did that in 2014 and you heard nothing about it, but now with social media, it just went viral. You know, 6 years later, 5 years later. So, big change. Now, probably won't be able to use that again for quite a while, but we'll still have it.
Everywhere we went, people ask us, hey, you're that team. And where's Kate at? How'd you hide the ball? Explain the play to us. I mean, we probably got asked that 25 times once we landed and got to our hotel. People were so excited and knew who we were.
People were recognizing us everywhere we went, and they saw our jerseys and they knew exactly who we were, which was a really cool experience, especially coming from a D3 school. We even had a guy, when we were warming up, come over and ask to take his picture with me, which was kind of a first, and told me that his friends and him had talked about meeting me, and he was so excited that he had to go tell his friends that he got to meet me. So it was a really cool experience. Yeah, being famous for a little bit.
That moment at which they performed that play is really what spoke volumes. Yeah, we had a great run, we kept going, but that moment for them to fully, wholly trust each other, to drive through that moment, to make that play, to sell that play, to get a huge out, and to do it together, I mean, it was more than just some media thing. I mean, it was a moment within the team to see what they had created and what the potential was moving forward. So that's not something every team can just sell.